While the Zodiac killer terrorized Northern California in the late 1960s and early 1970s, many suspects have been linked to these heinous crimes. But Arthur Lee Allen is perhaps the most famous of them all. His name has become synonymous with the case due to circumstantial evidence and Allen's own peculiar claims. Despite the public fascination with Allen, no conclusive evidence links him to the Zodiac crimes. But could Allen be linked to another series of gruesome murders for which no one has been caught yet? Join Bad Things as we take a look at Arthur Lee Allen as a suspect in the Santa Rosa hitchhiker murders. Is there any evidence linking Allen to the multiple murder cases? Tom Voigt, who runs ZodiacKiller.com, has even said if Allen wasn't the Zodiac, he might be responsible for some other murders. There is no doubt in anyone's mind that has taken a close look at Allen that he was one strange man indeed. Sergeant John Lynch of the Vallejo Police Department was one of the detectives tasked with investigating the Zodiac shooting at Blue Rock Springs Park. Like his fellow investigators, Lynch spent a significant amount of time sifting through the endless reports from people who believed they knew who the Zodiac was. The majority of these reports were based solely on suspicions, and all of the claims were later shown to be untrue. According to Vallejo police reports, Lynch sometimes checked on up to 5 or 6 suspects per day. On October 6, 1969, Detective Lynch went to Elmer Cave Elementary School and spoke with a man named Arthur Lee Allen. Lynch's one-paragraph report did not explain how or why he first became aware of Allen. However, the brief entry says that the questioning concerned Allen's whereabouts on the date of the Zodiac's attack at Lake Berryessa, which occurred less than a week before the interview. And this is how Allen became intertwined with the Zodiac mystery. Allen's life reads like a playbook for most serial killers' lives. See if you can pick up the red flags as we go through his timeline. Looking into his history may lead to clues and show motive when naming him as a suspect in the Santa Rosa murders. (1957) Arthur Lee Allen enlists in the Navy. According to some sources, he scored 135 on his IQ test, 5 points below genius, although this has never been substantiated. June 15, 1958. Allen gets arrested for disturbing the peace during a confrontation with acquaintance Ralph Spinelli. December 1958. Allen was discharged from the Navy. According to an informant's testimony, he received a discharge other than honorable. 1962 to 1963. Allen begins teaching at Travis Elementary on Travis Air Force Base, California. He was later fired for having a loaded handgun in his vehicle on school grounds. 1966. Allen starts work for the Greater Vallejo Recreation Department as a lifeguard and trampoline teacher. In a 1971 interview with Ted Kidder, chairman of the Greater Vallejo Recreation Department, Kidder said that Allen had lost his position approximately 5 years earlier, owing to his association with small children. Kidder elaborated by saying that he had received multiple complaints from parents about various acts towards their children. 1966. Allegedly, Allen happened to be in Riverside on the weekend when Sherry Jo Bates was killed on October 30, 1966. In 1971, the Vallejo Police Department and the California Department of Justice gathered evidence that placed Allen in Riverside. Allen then implied that it was real, claiming to have been in the area at the time, and then changed his story and told others he was in neighboring Pomona when he first learned of the Bates murder. According to investigators, Allen provided this information without being prompted. This is the homicide that first piqued investigators' interest in Allen. 1966 to 1968. Between 1966 and 1968, Allen taught at Valley Springs Elementary in Valley Springs, California. Allen was fired from his position after molesting a pupil. With no income, Allen returned to Vallejo to live with his mother and father. Allen began gaining weight and drinking excessively. September 1968. While driving with Phil Tucker, Allen said that he had read a book about hunting people with a bow and arrow and became intrigued by the concept. It would be more sport to hunt people because they had intelligence, he would say. By winter of that year, Allen was in a downward spiral of depression and alcoholism. April 1969. Allen was dismissed from Arco service station where he had worked for less than a year. The owner, Bob Luce, described Allen as an undependable employee with a drinking problem who seemed to be too interested in small girls. 1970 to 74. Allen attended Sonoma State College in Santa Rosa, majoring in biological sciences and minoring in chemistry. He finished all academic prerequisites in 1974, but did not obtain his Bachelor of Science degree until July 1981. During Allen's stay at Sonoma State, the Zodiac killings seemed to have stopped. However, the Santa Rosa hitchhiker killings started. According to former Special Agent Jim Silver of the California Department of Justice, if you plotted where the girls were last seen and later discovered dead, Allen's trailer would be right in the middle of the killer's dumping ground. July 27, 1971. Inspectors Dave Toschi and Bill Armstrong of the SFPD, together with Special Agent Mel Nicolai of the CII, headed to Vallejo to meet with Sergeant Jack Mullinax of the VPD to discuss Allen. It was decided that further information about Allen would need to be collected before contacting him. Mullinax started investigating Allen and produced a summary report. August 4, 1971. Mullinax, Toschi, and Armstrong conducted an interview at Allen's workplace in Pinole, California. The last confirmed Zodiac letter had been sent in March 1971, just a few months earlier. However, following Allen's police interrogation, the Zodiac did not write for another 2.5 years. This break is roughly how long the Santa Rosa murders carried on. On the same day, Mullinax interviewed Karen Allen, Arthur's sister-in-law, at Vallejo PD. Karen said Allen hated women and had never had a serious relationship with a woman his own age. Arthur hated his mother and had often expressed this hatred in her presence, she would go on to say. Allen was described as spoiled and pampered by his mother, a woman who did his cooking, washed his clothes, cleaned up after him and gave him money, as well as paid for 2 automobiles and 2 boats. September 14, 1972. A search warrant was served on Arthur Lee Allen's trailer at Sunset Trailer Park, 1963 Santa Rosa Avenue, in Santa Rosa. Allen was living in a trailer at the time. Allen also rented a shed on the same property. Allen was not there when the investigators arrived, but they unlocked the trailer and started a preliminary check. The investigators were astonished to discover a small freezer holding the carcasses of frozen squirrels or chipmunks. Allen was pursuing a biology degree at the time and was granted state authorization to experiment on these animals. Police also discovered a large sex toy and other sexually themed items. According to a 1992 FBI document, the evidence which was collected included sadomasochistic pornography, dildos, and blood-stained clothing. Prints were also lifted from Allen's trailer. However, they did not match any prints taken from Zodiac crime scenes. According to another source, inside they found squirrels running amok, in cages and dead ones in the refrigerator, part of Allen's work towards a biology degree. They also discovered 2 handguns, an M1 rifle, and 2 blue windbreakers similar to the one worn by the killer of cab driver Paul Stein. A large jar of Vaseline and a wooden sex toy are visible near the bed. Toschi discovered a pair of black size 7 gloves and remarked that Allen and Zodiac share the same boot and glove size. But the search of the trailer fails to uncover any further evidence to implicate the tempting suspect. September 24, 1974. In a complaint that was filed with the Sonoma Police Department, a woman named Beverly said that her son David had been subjected to multiple instances of sexual assault at the hands of a family friend named Arthur Lee Allen, who lived at the Sunset Trailer Park. 3 days later, on September 27th, police served a search warrant on Allen's trailer. They discovered Vaseline, cold cream, and a piece of wood in the form of a dildo, about 8 to 10 inches long. These were photographed and taken as evidence. Allen was later seen at a lumber company 1 block from the trailer park. He was arrested and taken to the Sonoma County Sheriff's Office, where he was interrogated. March 14, 1975. After pleading guilty to the sexual assault charges, Allen started serving his term in Atascadero State Hospital on March 14, 1975. Arthur Lee Allen remained in Atascadero State Prison from March 1975 to August 31, 1977. There is no doubt Allen was a sick, disturbed pedophile, but is there any evidence to link him to the 7 or more girls who were brutally slayed in Santa Rosa? Let's have a look at the circumstantial evidence. Allen lived in Santa Rosa during the murders. As said before, according to former Special Agent Jim Silver of the California Department of Justice, if you plotted where the girls were last seen and later discovered dead, Allen's trailer would be right in the middle of the dumping ground. 12-year-old Maureen Sterling and 13-year-old Yvonne Weber's skeletal remains were found at the bottom of a steep embankment about 60 feet off the side of Porter Creek Road. The girls had been carried across a ditch and then thrown down the embankment. Investigators concluded that the killer must have been exceptionally strong to get both girls over the ditch and then fling their corpses down the almost 70-foot slope without damaging any of the foliage. The girls weren't rolled down the embankment. Allen was 6 foot and a stocky built 250 pounds. The Santa Rosa victims were aged between 12 and 23. Allen was a serial pedophile, and these victims would have fallen within his targeting. Allen was into sadomasochism, deduced by the pornography confiscated from his trailer. When Maureen Sterling and Yvonne Weber were found, binding materials were found in the brush at the scene. This suggested the 2 girls had been restrained or strangled. Kim Wendy Allen's cause of death was assessed by the coroner, and he asserted that Kim had been raped and tortured before she was strangled with a cord or wire. It was found that she had been strangled slowly for about a half hour before she died. Laurie Lee Curser's body was discovered by a young couple in a steep ravine approximately 50 feet off Calistoga Road in North Santa Rosa. It appeared that she had been thrown about 30 feet before hitting trees. This could only be done by an extremely powerful man. Carolyn Nadine Davis's corpse was found on July 31, 1973. Officers noticed that, like earlier victims, Carolyn's corpse was thrown over the thick bushes and down the slope, indicating that the culprit was a powerful man. Teresa Smith Walsh's corpse was discovered on December 28, 1973. She'd been hog-tied, her thumbs tightly knotted together. Her left eye was wounded, as was the rear of her skull. A nylon rope was strung from her ankles to a noose around her neck, requiring her to keep her body awkwardly twisted to breathe, creating an untenable predicament that gradually suffocated her. Hog-tying is often connected with sadomasochistic activities. In Zodiac Unmasked, Robert Graysmith notes that a police officer had informed him that chipmunk hairs had been found on the bodies of several Santa Rosa victims. At that time, Allen was supposedly studying chipmunks as a hobby. This has never been corroborated by law enforcement or any other researchers. Police officials would later state that Allen was well versed in the area where the hitchhiking crimes were carried out, which they had always indicated was a necessity for the killer based on where the bodies had been dumped. Rural, isolated areas outside of town that wouldn't attract a lot of attention. They believed this required intimate knowledge of the area, which Allen, as a resident, would have. Is this enough to pin the murders on Allen? Definitely not. As with evidence against Allen in the Zodiac case, evidence against Allen in the Santa Rosa murders is all speculation and circumstantial. If Allen didn't kill the girls, then who did? Some speculate Ted Bundy was responsible, but this has been refuted by a U.S. Department of Justice report published in 1992, ruling out Bundy's involvement due to gas receipts showing that Bundy had not been in the area on the dates in question. The Hillside Stranglers, Kenneth Bianchi and Angelo Buono Jr., were also considered suspects in these murders. The most likely suspect is Frederick Manali, a creative writing instructor at a local junior college. Not just any creative writing instructor, Kim Wendy Allen's instructor. He died in a car accident on August 24, 1976, and when family went through his possessions, it became clear that he was obsessed with Kim Wendy Allen. Among his possessions were BTK-style sexual drawings of Kim, BTK-style photographs of him dressed in women's clothing as his alter persona Freda, a strand of hair in his wallet that he carried around, and pages of writing portraying sadomasochism, sexual torture, and enslavement. Even with this evidence, none of the murders can be conclusively tied to him. Do you think that Allen could have been the Santa Rosa hitchhiker murderer, or has he been accused of yet another slew of serial killings he didn't commit? Please leave us a comment. We would love to hear from you. If you love our content and want to support the channel, feel free to check our web shop where you can find exclusive true crime merch brought to you by Bad Things.